Hello there, welcome to Whispers.exe, where the silence watches back. The following story is a work of fiction, created for atmospheric and entertainment purposes. Before the shadows whisper your name, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, get comfortable, close your eyes, and let the dark settle in. It begins like most things do, quiet, unnoticed, and far too late to stop. Tonight's story is They Dream in the Walls. It was the kind of hotel you don't notice until it's already too late. Squatting on the outer edge of a town whose name you wouldn't remember, even if I told you, wrapped in peeling stucco and rust-bitten signage, its blinking vacancy light looked less like an invitation and more like a quiet dare. Rooms starting at $29 a night. 29. No taxes, no hidden fees. People stopped here on their way to nowhere. Long-haul drivers with half-shut eyes, runaways with nowhere left to run, people chasing things they couldn't name, and sometimes those who simply didn't know any better. I remember the first time I saw it. I was driving west, half lost and too tired to care. The interstate had bled dry hours ago, and the town I'd passed through was more shuttered windows than homes. But that hotel, that sign, flickering, stuttering, vacancy, $29. It felt like it had been waiting for me. The man at the front desk didn't ask for ID, he barely even looked up, just slid the key across the counter, its worn plastic fob stamped with the number 17. His hands were pale, too pale, veins like faint blue ink beneath waxy skin. I remember that detail. Room 17 was near the back, where the parking lot dissolved into a patch of cracked asphalt and dead grass. The door stuck when I opened it, like it hadn't been touched in years. Inside, the air was heavy, not stale. Heavy, like it carried weight you couldn't see. The room was plain enough, yellowed wallpaper peeling at the corners, a bedspread patterned with faded flowers, a small television bolted to the dresser, its screen warped at the edges, but it was the mirror that caught my eye. Tall, thin, framed in dark wood that didn't match anything else in the room. It stood in the corner by the window, angled just enough that I could see myself even from the bed. I didn't think much of it then. I should have. I remember laying down and thinking the sheets felt too cold. Not just cool, cold, like they'd been pulled from deep water. I stared at the ceiling. The motel was quiet, no cars passing, no wind. Even the old pipes stayed still. It was the kind of quiet that feels wrong, the kind that listens back. I don't remember falling asleep. That's the strange part. One moment I was staring at the ceiling. The next, I was somewhere else. A hallway. Endless, lit by buzzing, colorless lights spaced at irregular intervals. The walls were pale and soft-looking, almost like they'd been padded, and lining either side, doors, dozens, hundreds, each identical, each closed, and behind each one, whispers. I couldn't understand them. They slithered just beneath meaning, curling around my ears like smoke, different languages, none familiar, but they carried something deeper. Emotion, urgency, need. I walked. There was nothing else to do. The hallway stretched on endlessly, my footsteps muffled by the thick carpet beneath. Occasionally I'd hear movement, a soft thud, a creak, the scratch of fingernails against wood. But no matter how long I walked, the hallway never changed. The only constant were the whispers. I woke up suddenly, or I thought I did. The room looked the same, but something felt shifted. The mirror, it was facing me now. I don't remember turning it. I sat up, and that's when I noticed the sound. Very faint, like distant murmuring, coming from the walls. I pressed my ear against the wallpaper. It was warm, too warm, and behind it, whispers. Just like the ones from the dream. I couldn't make out words, but the cadence was the same. Urgent, insistent. I barely slept the rest of that night. And when I checked out the next morning, the man at the desk didn't ask how my stay was. He just stared like he already knew. I should have left town then, driven until the sky changed, but something pulled at me. That hallway, those doors. I stayed another night. The dream returned, exactly the same hallway, same doors, same whispers. But this time, something had changed. The doors were numbered, each one marked with a small black plaque. All of them bore the same number, 17. I kept walking and walking. I passed the same door over and over. 17, 17, 17. Eventually, curiosity won. I reached for the handle. It was cold, too cold. But as soon as I touched it, The whispers stopped. Silence crashed over me, thick and suffocating, and from behind the door, a single knock. I woke up gasping. The room was freezing, breath curling in the air, and the mirror was right beside the bed. I didn't remember moving it. The whispers in the walls were louder that night. I heard footsteps in the room above me, dragging, slow, but there was no second floor. I told myself I'd leave at dawn. No more curiosity, no more dreams, but dawn never came. The clock on the nightstand blinked 3 a.m. Over and over, the sky outside the window remained a dark, starless void. The air grew heavier, my thoughts slowed, thick and syrupy. I realized then I hadn't truly woken up. The dream hadn't ended. I was still there, still in that hallway, still walking. I stared down at my hands. They were translucent, fading at the edges. The walls pulsed softly as if breathing. The doors began to open, one by one, slowly. From each doorway, something stepped out. Faceless figures, tall, thin, drifting silently across the carpet, moving toward me in slow, deliberate strides. Their skin was pale, too pale, veins like faint blue ink beneath waxy skin. I recognized them. They looked just like the man at the front desk. They whispered as they moved, not in words, in thoughts. And I understood them. They were not asking, they were welcoming. This place wasn't a hotel, it was a collection, a place where lost things gathered, people, memories, dreams. It fed on those who wandered too far from the roads they knew. And once you entered, there was no leaving. The figures reached me. They didn't touch. They only stared. Or, I think they did. They had no eyes, no mouths, just blank, soft faces. And then I realized they were mirrors. Each face reflected something different. Scenes I almost remembered, rooms I'd never left, doors I'd never opened, all layered, overlapping. I saw myself in them, a reflection trapped within endless reflections. And when I looked down, I was holding a room key. Number 17. The hallway began to dissolve, walls melting into darkness, doors collapsing inward. And in the center of it all, the mirror, tall, thin, framed in dark wood. I walked toward it. I didn't, but my body moved anyway. As I approached, I saw something beyond the glass, another room, identical to mine. Same wallpaper, same bedspread, same television. But there was someone else lying on the bed. Me. I watched myself twitch and stir, eyes fluttering in restless sleep, and I understood. I had never checked in, I had never left, I had always been here. And somewhere far away, another traveler would soon pull off the empty highway, see the flickering sign, feel that pull. $29, room 17. I pressed my hand to the mirror. The glass rippled beneath my touch. Cool, welcoming. And then, silence. They say the hotel is still there, still squatting at the edge of that dying town, waiting for the next guest who doesn't know any better. They say some nights, if you drive past at the right hour, you can see the lights still on in room 17, a faint shadow in the window, waiting. But me, I never left. I walk the hallways now, listening. The doors are opening again. They're waiting for you. I see you. Even now, through the quiet hum between these words, I see you. You're still listening, still following. That's how it begins, always. A glance, a thought, a pull you mistake for your own curiosity. But it isn't. It's something else. Older than the walls. Older than the roads that twist through forgotten towns. Older than names. You wonder what happens after the doors open. You wonder if the hallway ever ends. I wondered, too. At first, I counted the steps, one by one. My feet moved without sound, swallowed by the thick carpet that seemed to grow softer the farther I walked. I thought, maybe, if I kept track, if I just remembered, I could find my way back. But memory doesn't hold here. The numbers slipped away, dissolving like mist. Even my name began to unravel, growing distant and strange, like something I'd overheard once in a dream. I clung to what I could, the weight of the room key in my hand, the faint pattern of the wallpaper repeating in soft, worn loops, and the whispers. Always the whispers. They grew louder as I walked. Not words anymore. Not even languages. Just voices, raw and hungry, calling for company. I saw faces behind the doors now. Not reflections. Not yet. Just glimpses. A child's hand, pale and thin, dragging along the doorframe, an eye staring through the keyhole, wide and unblinking, a mouth pressed to the crack between door and wall, mouthing something silent. And above it all, the steady, rhythmic thump of something large and unseen moving through the walls like a heartbeat. I began to understand. The hallway wasn't endless, it was folding, bending in on itself, tighter and tighter, drawing me inward. The walls pulsed with every step, the doors breathing in unison as though the entire place was alive, and I was inside it. I stopped fighting. It was easier that way. I let the hallway take me. Time dissolved, minutes stretched into hours, hours into days, or maybe it was all the same moment, looping endlessly. The whispers changed. They began to recognize me. They spoke in my voice, soft at first, then louder, mimicking every thought I'd ever tried to bury. You left them behind, you walked away, you were always meant to end up here. I don't know how long I drifted, but eventually I reached the center. The hallway opened into a vast circular chamber, dark, endless, lined with mirrors stretching from floor to ceiling, each one showing a different version of me. Some were asleep, some stared back, eyes hollow and black, some smiled, some screamed. And at the very center, standing in the only space untouched by glass, the man from the front desk. He wasn't pale anymore, not exactly. His skin shimmered, shifting between faces like water. A blur of all the guests who had ever stood in that lobby, all layered together. He spoke without moving his mouth. "We've been waiting." His voice wasn't loud. It wasn't threatening. It was relieved, as though I was a long overdue letter finally returned to sender. I tried to speak, to ask why, but my voice was gone. All that came out was breath, cold and thin. "You dreamed of doors," he said, tilting his head. "They all do." He gestured to the mirrors. "Every door leads here. Every room folds back into itself. There is no leaving, only returning." I looked around, helpless. Each mirror flickered, scenes playing like old film reels. Guests arriving, signing their names, carrying their luggage into rooms they wouldn't leave. Some stayed longer than others, some resisted, but they all came here in the end. "You kept your key," he said, pointing at my hand. And there it was, room 17, still clutched tight in my fading fingers. "That means you're ready," he whispered. Before I could move, the mirrors began to ripple. Each reflection stepped forward, peeling away from the glass, merging into a single figure that walked toward me. Me. But not me. It was what I would become. The next one to wait behind the desk. I understood then this was how it worked. The hotel needed keepers. It needed watchers. It needed someone to greet the next guest. The man stepped aside. The figure reached out, hand extended, waiting for me to take it. I felt everything in that moment, every room I'd ever stayed in, every dream I'd ever slipped into, every version of myself that had walked these halls. It wasn't a choice. It never had been. I took its hand. Silence. When I opened my eyes, I was behind the front desk. The key rack stood before me, each hook filled. 17 was missing. In my pocket, the key burned cold. The lobby smelled of dust and old rain. Outside, the vacancy sign flickered softly. I could feel the walls breathing, the guests dreaming. I knew them all now, knew their faces, their fears, their slow unraveling. They weren't ready yet, but they would be. I watched the clock. It didn't move. It never did. Somewhere beyond the window, headlights appeared. A car approaching, slow and uncertain. The first steps always feel like their own. I straightened the guest book, checked the keys. The door creaked open. A figure stepped inside, tired, worn, searching. I smiled, welcoming. And as I slid the key across the counter, I heard it again, that whisper, that invitation. It spoke through me, soft and patient. "We've been waiting." The words left my mouth like smoke, thin, curling, inevitable. I watched the guest's hand hover over the key. Their fingers trembled, just slightly, but they took it. They always take it. The weight of the key settled into their palm, heavy with quiet promises. Room 17. They didn't ask questions. None of them ever did. I watched them turn, moving toward the hallway, dragging their footsteps through the thin carpet. I listened to the door click shut behind them. And then the whispers began again. Soft at first, barely a breath, then louder, twisting through the walls like vines creeping through old wood. I sat at the desk, still as the dust collecting on the guest book, and let the night unfold. The clock didn't move. It didn't need to. Time here isn't measured in hours, it's measured in stays. I don't know how long I've been here. The memory of roads and faces and sunlight is something distant, crumbling at the edges. All that remains are the rooms, the doors, the hallways that bend back into themselves. Sometimes I catch glimpses of myself in the lobby mirror. The face looking back isn't always the same. Sometimes it flickers between features I almost recognize. Other guests who became keepers before me, those who stayed too long, those who listened too closely. They're still here. All of them, waiting. There's comfort in the quiet routine, welcoming the guests, handing over the key, listening as the walls breathe them in. But some nights, I remember. Not much, just flashes. The feeling of cool air on my skin, the sound of tires on distant asphalt, a name whispered on the edge of sleep. It always slips away before I can grasp it, like waking from a dream too deep to escape. The guests don't remember much either, at least not at first. They wander the lobby, their eyes fogged with exhaustion, their minds already unraveling. They don't notice how the walls lean closer when they walk by, or how the lights flicker just slightly when they speak. I wonder if they feel it, that first pull, that soft certainty that they've been here before. Because they have. They always have. The rooms remember. The floors remember. The mirrors, they never forget. I've seen what waits behind those doors. What becomes of the guests who linger too long. They stretch and twist, melting into the reflections they tried to avoid, becoming part of the walls, part of the hum that fills every corner of this place. Some try to fight it. I hear them clawing at the doors, screaming in the spaces between breaths. But the more they struggle, the deeper they sink. Eventually, they stop. And when they do, the hallway grows a little longer. Another door appears. Another whisper joins the chorus. I used to wonder where the hallways led, if there was a final door that could break the loop. But I understand now. There is no ending here. No beginning either. Only return. I see it in their eyes every time a guest arrives. The same question, hidden beneath exhaustion and curiosity. The same quiet dread they refuse to name. They think they found this place by chance. But there's no chance in the way the road bends toward the sign. No coincidence in the price scrawled on the board. $29. A small price for forever. I wonder, sometimes, if there are others. Other places like this, tucked away along forgotten highways, other doorways waiting to be opened. I think there must be. Dreams aren't bound by geography. They bleed through cracks and seams, slipping into every quiet corner left unwatched. The guests bring their own shadows with them, their own memories, their own doors. This place only gives them the key, and when they're ready, it welcomes them inside. I've watched countless arrive, men and women, young and old, some carrying secrets like wounds, some already hollowed out, barely more than husks. They all end up in the same hallway. They all dream in the walls. There's a kind of mercy in that, I think. A place where you can't run anymore, where every step leads back to yourself. Even I've come to accept it. The mirror by the front desk shows me what I need to see. Not always what I want, but always what I deserve. Some nights, I see my old room, 17, the door cracked open just enough to glimpse the bed, still neatly made, the mirror in the corner, angled toward the window. And in the reflection, me, sleeping. I never wake. I don't need to. I'm exactly where I belong. The guests will keep coming, the doors will keep opening, and I will be here, behind the desk, waiting with the key. Because someone must always wait. That's how it works. That's how it always works. The sign outside still flickers. It's strange, really, how it never burns out. No one replaces the bulbs. No hands climb the rusted ladder to twist in fresh glass. It simply persists, buzzing softly in the dark, humming in time with the breath of the walls. Sometimes I watch it through the warped lobby window. The light ripples through the fog that never lifts, turning everything beyond the glass into shapes without edges. Blurred trees, shifting roads, and headlights. always the headlights. They appear without warning, like stars blinking into existence. One moment, there's nothing. The next, a car is idling just beyond the edge of the lot, engine ticking softly. The guests don't always come in right away. Some sit there for a long time, staring at the sign, hands on the wheel, keys dangling from the ignition. They know. Somewhere deep inside, they already know. But knowing doesn't change anything. Eventually, the door creaks open. Their footsteps fall into the same rhythm as the others before them. And I wait. I always wait. Tonight, it's raining. Thin, cold sheets sliding down the glass like the hotel is melting from the outside in. There's a new car in the lot. I can hear its engine humming beneath the steady pulse of the rain. The headlights cut through the fog, pale and trembling. I watch as the door opens. The figure that steps out moves slowly, dragging their feet like the ground weighs too much. I see their face for only a moment as they cross into the glow of the sign. They look tired, so very tired. The kind of tired that doesn't come from sleepless nights, the kind that sinks deeper, curling around the bones. I recognize that look. I wore it once. The lobby door swings open and they step inside. Their clothes drip onto the carpet, but I don't mind. The carpet has soaked in far worse. They glance around, blinking as if adjusting to a different kind of dark, the kind that lingers in corners and behind mirrors. I don't speak right away. I let the silence stretch. It's important they hear it. The quiet here isn't empty. It has weight. It has shape. When I finally speak, the words feel distant, like I'm repeating a line from a play I've performed too many times. Room 17. Their eyes meet mine. There's a flicker of hesitation, but only a flicker. They nod. I slide the key across the counter, the old plastic fob smooth beneath my fingertips. For a moment, their hand hovers over it, like they can feel the pull even before they touch it. Then they take it. And just like that, the exchange is complete. I watch as they move toward the hallway, the key clenched tightly in their fist. Their footsteps fade into the soft carpet, swallowed by the walls. Soon the door will close behind them. Soon the whispers will start. And I'll remain here, waiting. It always happens the same way. But tonight feels different. The rain doesn't stop. The clock above the desk shudders, its hands twitching just slightly, though they never truly move. Something stirs in the mirrors, a ripple, a breath. I lean back in my chair and listen. The whispers are louder tonight, more urgent. They speak in overlapping voices. Some I recognize, some I don't. They call out to the guest, calling them by names I cannot hear, names that don't belong in this place, names they've tried to forget. I close my eyes. For a moment, I see the hallway again, that long, pulsing corridor lined with identical doors, each marked with the same number, 17. But the hallway isn't empty. The guest is there, walking slowly, dragging their hand along the walls. Their face is blurred as though I'm seeing them through fogged glass. But I feel their fear. It hums through the walls, it seeps into the floors, and then something strange happens. They stop. No guest has ever stopped before. They turn toward one of the doors, staring at it for a long time. I can feel their heartbeat, fast and wild. Then, with trembling hands, they reach for the handle. But they don't open it. Instead, they pull something from their pocket, a small, jagged object, a piece of glass, into their palm and squeeze hard enough to draw blood. The walls shudder, the lights flicker, the whispers rise, frantic and furious. This isn't how it's supposed to happen. They smear the blood across the door, a crude mark, a broken circle. The door groans. Something behind it stirs. I feel it deep inside my chest, like something tearing itself loose. The mirrors around me tremble. Cracks begin to spread, thin as spider webs. The guest turns and looks back down the hallway. Their eyes meet mine. Even through the dream, even through the layers of reflection and memory, I feel it. They see me. They've always seen me. The mark on the door glows softly, pulsing with every heartbeat. The whispers fall silent, replaced by something deeper, a low, steady hum. The guest begins to walk again, faster this time. But the hallway shifts beneath them. Doors collapse inward. Walls fold like paper. The hotel is trying to fight back, trying to erase the path. But the guest keeps walking. And as they move, more doors appear with the same broken circle, smeared in fresh blood. They're marking every path they've taken. The walls scream. I feel it through the floor, a deep vibration like a storm passing beneath the earth. And then the guest stops again. At the very end of the hallway, a new door appears. It's different from the others, taller, wider, framed in dark wood that seems to drink in the light. No number, no handle, just a surface smooth as glass reflecting nothing. The guest stands before it, their breath ragged. They press both hands to the door and lean in. I can feel the pull now, dragging at everything. The lobby, the mirrors, even me. The guest begins to speak. Their voice is soft, barely more than a whisper, but the words echo through every corner of this place. I won't be part of this. The door shudders. The words repeat, louder. I won't be part of this. Cracks split across the surface, jagged and glowing. I feel myself being pulled forward, dragged toward that door. I try to hold on, to the desk, to the keys, to the only things I've known for so long. But the pull is too strong. Everything shatters. The mirrors explode outward, shards raining through the lobby. The guest book bursts into flame. The walls collapse, folding inward like paper consumed by fire. And then, silence. True silence. I open my eyes. I'm standing on an empty road. The hotel is gone. The sign is gone. The town is gone. Just the road stretching in either direction beneath a sky that doesn't know whether it's night or dawn. I feel the air against my skin for the first time in I don't know how long. And in my hand, a key. Room 17. I look down the road. In the distance, I see the shape of a person walking away. Steady. Unhurried. The guest. They're leaving. They did what no one else could. They opened the door. They walked away. I don't know what happens now. But the key is still in my hand. And somewhere behind me, I hear it. Faint at first, then louder. The soft hum of neon. The click of a vacancy sign flickering to life. The sound grows, steady and patient, buzzing softly through the emptiness, filling the air like a memory returning. I turn slowly, afraid to see what waits behind me, but I already know. The hotel stands there again, just as it always has. Weathered walls, flickering sign, vacancy. $29. It looks the same, but it isn't. Something in the angles feels wrong, leaning where it shouldn't lean, casting shadows that stretch too far across the cracked pavement. The air smells like wet earth and old smoke. The door swings open before I can stop it. Inviting. Demanding. My feet move without thought, carrying me across the threshold. Inside, the lobby waits. The walls pulse softly, stitched together by seams of flickering light. The desk stands in its place, worn and waiting. But the guest book is gone. The mirror is gone. Only the key rack remains. Empty, save for one hook. Room 17. I step forward, still holding the key. It feels heavier now. Dense, with something I can't name. I reach for the hook. My hand trembles as I lift the key and hang it back in its place. As soon as it settles on the hook, the walls breathe out a long, shuddering sigh. The lights dim. The floor hums beneath my feet. I know what's expected of me. I always have. I step behind the desk. The chair greets me like an old friend, its shape familiar beneath me. Outside, the sign glows brighter, cutting through the thick, endless fog. The road stretches on, winding back into the darkness beyond. Somewhere out there, someone is already watching the lights ahead, feeling the first pull. The first question, the soft hum of curiosity curling behind their thoughts. I close my eyes. I listen. And there it is, the soft murmur of tires on wet asphalt, the low rumble of an engine slowing down. Another car approaches. The headlights cut through the fog, illuminating the vacancy sign. I watch as it turns into the lot, wheels crunching over gravel and broken glass. The engine quiets. The door opens. A figure steps out. I recognize them. The same tired posture, the same weight dragging behind every step. They stand there for a long moment, staring up at the hotel. Some part of them remembers. Some part of them knows. but it doesn't matter. The door creaks open, welcoming them in. They hesitate, standing just inside the threshold, watching me behind the desk. I smile, the same smile I've seen in the mirror. They step forward. I don't speak right away. I let the quiet stretch, filling the space between us. It's important they feel it. I reach for the key. My fingers brush against the fob. Cold, heavy. Room 17. Their eyes meet mine. There's a flicker there. Recognition, fear, acceptance. I slide the key across the desk. They take it. The moment their fingers close around it, I feel it all begin again. The walls pulse. The whispers return. The air thickens, curling with unseen breath. They turn away, moving toward the hallway. The door closes behind them. I remain seated, listening to the steady hum of their steps fading into the dark, and the hotel sighs, settling back into its endless rhythm. Outside, the rain begins again, soft and steady. The road remains empty for now, but not for long. Never for long. I wait, because that's what I do, because that's what I've always done. And somewhere beyond the walls, behind the mirrors and the doors and the dreams, the hallway stretches on, waiting. It waits for them all. The hallway, with its endless doors, each marked with that same number, 17. It breathes in time with the walls of this place, stretching, twisting, folding into itself, always hungry for another, always patient. I see it sometimes, even while I sit here at the desk. A flicker in the corner of my vision, a pulse behind the wallpaper. It isn't behind me anymore. It's beneath everything, around everything. It's inside me now, too. I wonder how long I've been here. How many keys have passed through these hands? How many guests have vanished behind that door? It doesn't really matter. Not anymore. I wait. I watch. The rain falls steady outside, running down the windows in long, slow streaks. The lights from the sign outside turn it all into smears of red and white. The colors blend into something soft, something almost beautiful. I know what comes next. I can feel it in the air, thick and expectant. The road will draw someone else in soon. It's already begun. Somewhere, another traveler is growing tired. Their eyes are heavy, their thoughts are scattered, their car drifts toward this place without them even noticing. Soon, they'll see the sign. Soon, they'll pull in. The pattern never changes, and neither do I. I look down at my hands. They don't look like mine anymore. Not quite. They're pale. Too pale. Veins running like thin blue threads beneath the surface. I flex my fingers slowly, feeling the stiffness in them, the weight. I've seen hands like this before, many times. They're the hands of the man I once met at this very desk, the one who gave me the key. I understand now. I know what I am, what I've always been. I was never just a guest. I've always been here. I've always been waiting. The key rack rattles softly behind me as though something unseen is brushing against it. I don't turn. I don't need to. The air shifts, the rain outside slows, softening into a faint mist. And then, faint at first, but growing clearer, the sound of tires. Slow, uneven. Another car. I feel it approach, feel the vibrations through the floorboards and walls, through the bones of this place. The headlights cut through the fog, bathing the windows in white. I can almost hear their thoughts, already thick with that old familiar haze. They'll wonder how they got here, why they're stopping. But it won't matter. The car door creaks open. Footsteps splash softly against wet pavement. The door swings wide, welcoming. They enter, bringing the cold air with them. I watch as they step into the lobby. Their face looks the same as all the others, worn, uncertain, afraid. They hesitate, lingering just inside the doorway. The silence wraps around them. I let them linger. I always do. Soon, their gaze drifts to me, to the desk, to the keys. I speak, though my voice no longer feels like my own. It's something older, something deeper. Room 17. The words settle heavy in the air between us. Their eyes widen just slightly. Somewhere they recognize the number. Somewhere they know what it means. But they step forward anyway. They always do. I slide the key across the desk. It makes no sound. They reach out, fingers trembling, Their skin brushes mine for the briefest moment as they take it. Cold. So cold. They don't speak. They never do. They turn, walking toward the hallway. The walls lean in as they pass as if to listen more closely. The door at the end waits, patient and still. They open it. They step inside. The door closes behind them, and the whispers begin again. Soft at first, then louder, filling every corner of this place, curling through the air like smoke. I listen to them, letting them wash over me. They are familiar now, comforting in a way. They remind me that the pattern holds, that the loop is unbroken, that I am still here, still waiting. The rain continues its quiet song against the windows. The lights outside hum and flicker. And somewhere beyond the walls, the hallway grows. Longer, wider, deeper. Another door opens, another dream begins. And I wait. I wait. And the hours stretch long and quiet, though I know they aren't hours at all. Time bends here, thin and brittle. I feel it groaning at the seams, stretched too far, pulled too tight. But I don't move. I don't need to. Everything happens as it always has. The rain softens, the fog thickens, and far beyond the windows, headlights bloom again in the dark. Faint at first, like distant stars, then growing brighter. Approaching, drawing closer. I watch them, just as I've watched every other one before. Another traveler, another guest, another piece of this place wandering back. They slow as they near the lot. Tires crackle over loose gravel. The engine cuts. Silence settles, deep and heavy. I wait for the door to open, but it doesn't. Not yet. The figure inside the car sits still, unmoving. Long minutes drag by. Or maybe it's only seconds. I can't tell anymore. But something's different. I feel it in the walls, in the floor. A quiet ripple passing through the air like breath. It's them, the guest, sitting behind the wheel staring at the hotel. They don't move, not toward the door, not toward the desk. Just sitting there, gripping the wheel tightly, watching. Somewhere inside, they know. They recognize this place, the curve of the walls, the flicker of the sign, the taste of the air. They've been here before. They remember, and they are afraid, but still they remain. Something else shifts. I feel it now, more clearly. The pull isn't working. The thread that always drags them inside is slack. Their will is too strong, or perhaps something else is interfering. The whispers behind the walls rise, uneasy and frantic. I hear them scrambling, calling out, begging. But the guest doesn't move. They sit there, stubbornly anchored in their seat, refusing to cross the threshold. The lights flicker wildly. The rain stops. The fog presses harder against the windows, thick and suffocating. I can feel the hotel panicking. It needs them. It needs the dream. Without the guest, the pattern begins to collapse. I feel the strain ripple through me, through every part of this place. Cracks begin to bloom across the walls. Thin at first, then spreading. The mirrors I thought were long gone suddenly reappear, each one shuddering violently. I see my reflection everywhere, fractured and twisting. Each face wears the same expression, fear. The key rack behind me rattles, hooks snapping off one by one. Keys fall to the floor, clattering like bones. All except one. Room 17. Still hanging. Still waiting. I feel myself drawn to it, pulled by some unseen hand, but I resist. My fingers tremble against the desk, nails digging into the wood. The whispers grow louder, screaming now, filling every inch of the hotel with their hunger. I glance toward the window. The guest is still there, still watching. Their eyes lock with mine through the glass. They know. They see me. Not as the keeper, not as the watcher behind the desk. They see me, the traveler who came before, the one who stayed, the one who never left. I see their face more clearly now. And something inside me twists. It's my face, older, worn by time, but mine. They are me. I am them. A loop within a loop, spiraling endlessly. They lift their hands slowly, deliberately, and in their palm, they hold the key. Room 17. The same one I thought I was holding here. But when I glance down, my hands are empty. The key rack is empty. The hook is broken. The guest opens their car door, steps out, but they don't approach the lobby. They walk toward the edge of the lot, toward the trees beyond, toward the road that winds out of sight. The fog parts for them, gentle and silent. The whispers in the walls become shrieks, shrill and furious. The hotel shudders violently, walls collapsing inward. The lights burst, one by one. I feel myself unraveling, pulled in every direction at once. The desk crumbles beneath my hands. The floor splits open. I fall. Through walls and mirrors and dreams, through doorways that no longer hold their shape, and as I fall, I see them. All the faces, all the guests, all the watchers. All of them are me. All of them have always been me. The hallway stretches infinitely below, doors opening and closing in rapid succession. Each one leads to the same place, the same moment, the same choice. I land hard, breath knocked from my lungs. But there is no pain. I'm standing again without remembering how. Before me stands the door. Tall, unmarked, smooth as glass. The final door. I hear it call. Not in words, in something older, something that has no language. It waits, patient. I turn. Behind me, the guest, myself, fades into the mist, walking farther down the road, growing smaller with every step. Leaving, truly leaving. And I know deep inside that they have broken the pattern, they have ended the loop. They will never return, they will never dream in these walls again. But I remain. The hotel groans around me, its foundation crumbling, its hallways dissolving into ash. Without the dreamer, there is nothing left to sustain it. The door before me cracks, splintering softly. I reach for it. Not to open it, to hold it closed, to keep it sealed, but my hands pass through. I am already fading. The hotel collapses. The walls implode, folding into themselves like burning paper. The mirrors shatter one final time, scattering shards across an endless void. And at the very center of everything, the door stands alone, unbroken, unopened, waiting. I stand before it, no longer flesh, no longer thought, just shadow, the last thread of a place that no longer exists. I feel myself pulled into the door, becoming part of it, becoming the door itself. And I understand. There was never a hotel, never a hallway, never rooms or keys or guests, only doors, only watchers, only the dream. I am the door now. I am the waiting. I am the endless hallway. And somewhere far beyond the edges of this fading dream, someone new will glance up from their long drive. They will see a light through the fog, a faint sign flickering softly in the dark. Vacancy. And the door will be there, as it always has been, waiting.